Hello, and welcome to this podcast with Sino Biological. My name is Will Suter. Today we'll be talking with Dr. Linlin Zhang, a technical specialist for Sino Biological Europe, and we'll be discussing how Sino is expanding their product offerings into the European market, and their process for developing and manufacturing custom recombinant antibodies for their clients. Hi Linlin, thank you very much for joining me today.
Hi Will, thank you very much for inviting us to have this amazing event today.
No problem. So to start off with, could you give our listeners a brief introduction to your background and your role at Sino Biological?
Yes, thank you. So I'm currently a technical specialist at Sino Biological Europe. Actually, my research background is protein structure biology. I completed my PhD at the University of Lübeck in 2017. Afterwards, I worked there as a postdoc and later was promoted to be a project leader for a few years. And my research was mainly focusing on the development of small molecule compounds based on the structural biology, targeting some non-structural proteins of the emerging or re-emerging viruses, for instance, the famous coronaviruses, enteroviruses, and flaviviruses, etc. So in last September, I joined Sino, taking charge of the technical assistance of our sales and marketing on recombinant protein and antibody products. Thank you.
Excellent. So could you share with us a little bit about the history of Sino Biological as a company?
Yeah, actually, Sino Biological was founded in 2007 in Beijing, China, when our founders realized that there was really an absence of high-quality, fully bioactive recombinant proteins available for the research and diagnostic development. So our CEO, Dr. Liang Zhixie, is an MIT laureate. His specialty is recombinant protein expression using mammalian cells, the core technique on which our company is based. So the company also manages a team that specializes in antibody development. So in last year, we were recently rewarded an Apple, the initial public offering, with a collection of $700 million capital for continuous development of the company. So in addition to the business development in the Chinese market, Sino Biological broadens its worldwide physical presence with the establishment of 2 subsidiaries in the United States and Europe, respectively. So as the only official data company in Europe, we currently sit in Frankfurt with our local sales and service team, as well as our protein inventory. So besides the domestic and overseas branches, our product sales are also supported through a network of distributors in North America, Europe, and Asian markets. So Sino now has 30 distributors and our products are available in more than 90 countries all over the world. So the products are very well distributed and widely used.
So what kind of products does Sino Biological provide to its clients, and what are the main application fields for the products?
Sino Biological is an international leading reagent manufacturer and service provider. So all the Sino's products are independently developed and produced, so including recombinant proteins, antibodies, and CDN clones. Sino currently produces and sells more than 46,000 products all in stock. So this includes more than 6,000 recombinant proteins, of which 3,800 proteins expressed by human cells that are close to nature structure and property. So among these products, a comprehensive collection of drug targets, cytokines, and their receptors, Fc receptor proteins, as well as viral proteins are certainly covered. So we can also provide 12,000 cans of antibodies, including 4,600 cans of monoclonal antibodies. So the featured products cover really a broad range, including primary antibodies, secondary antibodies, tag antibodies, neutralizing antibodies, control antibodies, and so on. So these antibodies can be used in a variety of assays, including the ELISA, Western blot, immunofluorescence staining, immunohistochemistry, immunoprecipitation, pseudovirus infection, and potentially in vivo animal studies, and so on. So all our products can cover multiple research areas of life science. Sino Biological can provide a one-stop shop of research reagent, and technical service for basic scientific research, including molecular biology, cell biology, immunology, development biology, stem cell research, and innovative drug research and development. So in addition, Sino Biological offer pharmaceutical companies and biotechnology firms preclinical product technology services for hundreds of monoclonal antibody drug candidates.
So, yeah, as you just described, that's an extensive collection of catalog products. So, if clients have special requirements or custom requirements for a product that isn't in the catalog, do you also have a customized service? And can you tell us a little bit about how that works, what kind of service you provide, and what's the typical lead time of a customized product versus a catalog one?
Yes, we definitely have very solid CRO services in recombinant production of proteins and antibody development. So the complete services started from gene cloning and synthesis all the way to protein characterization is certainly included. So in Sino, we have 4 major platforms for the recombinant expression. This includes the mammalian cell system, and we also have the insect cell and yeast expression system, as well as the prokaryotic expression system, for instance, the E. coli expression system. So Sinobiological also specializes in providing recombinant antibody production services. Rich experience accumulated in producing all the 4 subtypes of IgG as well as IgM in both the pentameric and hexameric forms. In addition, we do have quite a good experience in producing different shapes of antibodies, such as the fibs or SCFVs, nanobodies, antibody fusion proteins, chimeric antibodies, bispecific antibodies, and as well as fucosylated antibodies. So in terms of the antibody development services, we have a very comprehensive animal immunization platform, antibody generation and screening platform, as well as the assay platforms to identify the most suitable leads for us. So our experience read not only from classical mouse monoclonal antibody development using hybridoma, but also the phage display and the single B cell based antibody development platform were also established. Services for developing antibodies against a specific post-translational modification, for instance, phosphorylation, as well as generation anti-idiotic antibodies are also provided. So yes, I think the lead time is a point that our customer might be interested in. And normally, if we start from gene synthesis to quality control and delivery of the final product, recombinant production using the E. coli usually takes about 4 to 8 weeks. Insect cell expression system takes a little bit longer, about 10 weeks, because it has to undergo a virus package process. And for antibody protein expression in mammalian cells, it also takes about 6 to 8 weeks to complete. I think generally it will take a little bit longer to generate antibodies. The immunogen preparation will cost some time, and the animals will cost some time to mount a sufficient immune response, after which they can be sacrificed to proceed into the antibody selection process. Generally, it takes about 4 to 6 months to complete a mouse or rabbit monoclonal antibody generation service. But we do have a speedy immunization regime, which combines our unique immunization strategy as well as adjuvants, so that we can expedite this process and finish a project in about 3 to 4 months' time. And we do understand that the time is sensitive in any research and development efforts. And we also try to work as quickly as possible.
Great. Could you describe a typical workflow for how a custom project like that would work through those few weeks that it would take? And could you maybe share with us a success story or a case study of a particular project that went well?
Yes, I think once a CRO inquiry from a client was received by our sales team, an extensive analysis of the project will be performed by our professional CRO team to ensure the client receives timely feedback. After in-depth communication with the client, our solid internal infrastructure will clarify the details of deliverables as long as the project assessment process finishes. A standard service package for the non-complicated cases will be offered. Of course, if the project is more complicated than simply just antibody expression or normal protein expression, we also have some non-standard service packages. Then there will be a lot more procedures involved essentially. So we have to finalize the details of the project and identify the scope of the project to be very clear on the specifics of the deliverables. So if the clients and us are both satisfied with the proposal and the payment is issued in a form of purchase order or some other type of payment information is confirmed, then we can move on and carry out the project. So during the progress of the project, our client will be notified once the project is initiated and each milestone. Of course, there will be some shipment process along with the invoice, certificate of analysis when the project is finished. We will also provide a complete project report. So here I just quote one case that we performed for a client to develop an antibody using a single B cell sorting technique. After sorting of the B cell, we have identified 380 antigen-specific B cells, and we then generated about 142 sequence pairs, which yields 46 clones, and among which 8 are better than the control antibodies. So they are commercially available. I think after immunization all the way to the antibody characterization, it took us about 26 days. So the B cell sorting platform certainly an expedited method to generate customized antibodies. Thank you.
So, as a leading manufacturer of biological reagents, what would you say are the most sort of cutting edge products or platforms, or what are the particular technical strengths that make Sinobiological such a leader in the field?
I think first, our independently developed Provil virus research reagents are a group of the cutting-edge products widely used worldwide in the infectious disease research, therapeutic antibodies evaluation, immunodiagnostic assay, and vaccine development. So the viral protein bank features an exclusive coronavirus catalog, a comprehensive collection of influenza antigens, and many other hard-to-find virus proteins such as Zika virus, RSV, Ebola, and so on. So it includes over 1,000 antigens from 90 virus types and subtypes and 350 strains. In particular, the recombinant spike protein of the wild type of SARS-CoV-2 and the Omicron variant were firstly launched by our company in the world. And our Sino chip is a multiplex assay platform for high throughput serological studies containing many upper respiratory virus antigens. Secondly, the rapid monoclonal antibodies developed using our phage display and single B cell platforms exhibit higher sensitivity and specificity than mouse monoclonal antibodies. It only needs a reduced necessity of antigen retrieval pretreatments in some applications. So in addition, rapid monoclonal antibody can recognize more novel epitopes in a highly diverse suite of B lymphocytes, which is quite useful for antigens with weak immunogenicity or derived from rodents. So as I mentioned in previous questions, in Sino, we also have experience for producing antibodies in different shapes and formats, including bispecific, trispecific, multivalent antibodies, nanobodies, antibody fragments, and antibody furin proteins, and so on.
Excellent. So you mentioned before that Sinobiological is expanding into Europe with your Frankfurt office now. So how does the European market differ from the areas that the company has operated in globally, where you're more established? And do Sinobiological Europe's services differ at all from what you offer elsewhere in the world?
Basically, the services and products we offer in European market are the same as in other markets globally. So this includes the same product range and quality control criteria. And the European market does have some differences compared to one national market because the European market is uniquely characterized of multiple cultures and nations, factors including logistic, custom, currency, and so on, we also have to take into consideration in addition. And we are well prepared for it actually. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning of today's interview, we have our local sales and service team together with a protein inventory in the Europe subsidiary here in Germany. So products are delivered directly from Germany to our clients, saving them a lot of effort for importing procedure. So here we will also have to deal with the product export, for instance, to Switzerland and the UK. Prices of different currencies, including euro, the British pound, and so on. Sometimes we also include different language services.
So you also spoke a little bit before about the coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic, and how Sino has been able to help in the research efforts by providing antibodies for scientists sort of developing vaccines and other treatments. But how has the pandemic changed the way that Sino Biological operates internally? Has that changed your workflow or how you work in the office in the lab?
Yes, I think Sino Biological has been a frontier worker with rapid responses against the public health crisis, such as the famous COVID-19. So being the first company in the world expressed the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein and its variants, our SARS-CoV-2 products are very well accepted and distributed globally. So as a leading manufacturer in the field of recombinant proteins, Sino Biological has established a very comprehensive platforms for recombinant protein production and antibody development before the pandemic of COVID-19. So we just use this platform to develop reagents against different infectious disease known to affect the human being. A large collection of recombinant proteins from SARS-CoV-1 and other coronaviruses, influenza virus, HIV, and Ebola, and so on, were deposited in our recombinant viral protein bank. This allowed us to familiar ourselves with the process and develop the techniques that enabled us to be better prepared for future pandemics. So when COVID-19 happened, a major part of our research and development and production capacity was quickly switched to the development and produce SARS-CoV-2 related reagents. So to support the industrial and academic research and development communities' efforts for stopping the pandemic. So as well as developing wider type of proteins, we are constantly trying to develop a mutated variant proteins from the virus using our platforms. So when working with SARS-CoV-2 variants, we build a template for the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein or segments of the spike protein. So this means that whenever a variant or variants are encountered, we can quickly produce these recombinant proteins and supply them all over the world. So we have also developed a range of stock antibodies that can be deployed quickly for immunological assay development once a virus has been found to be familiar to an existing virus. For instance, COVID-19 is similar to the SARS-CoV-1 outbreak that occurred around a decade ago. SARS antibodies were useful at the beginning of the pandemic to develop a quick serological assays or to support companies working in vaccine development to use these antibodies as detection reagents, so allowing them to assess the efficacy of their vaccines. Of course, specific antibodies targeting the spike or other relevant proteins of SARS-CoV-2 and variants are constantly developed to ensure our in-time and high-quality services to the clients. So customers are beginning to require significant quantity of proteins, meaning that the capacity of the platform is being stretched. So we do have a very high throughput common antibody expression platform with which we aim to create recombinant antibody libraries for clients. Because of these efforts, a long-term trustable collaboration has been established with many vaccine and rapid test developers. Meanwhile, a flexible infrastructure was also maintained to make us continuously providing non-COVID-19 products and services, so and ready for switching back completely to normal production right after the pandemic finishes.
Excellent. Yeah, that's fascinating and really important work. So thank you so much, Lin, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Will.
Thank you again to Dr. Zhang there for sharing her expertise with us, and thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about the antibody products and development services that Sino Biological offer, do make sure to visit sinobiological.com.